I'm Joanna Garzilli, award-winning author and life coach. Welcome to the Looking Glass podcast. I came so close to quitting, and I wasn't ready. And I think, or I'll reframe that or rephrase it, is I got scared that I would be shouted at. And isn't that one of the very reasons, or I'll say that is one of the reasons why I don't want to be in that job anymore? Because if I'm not making my bosses happy, if I'm not like a dancing monkey, there's a good chance I'll get shouted at. And I'm such a mega empath that when someone does shout at me, it goes straight through me. And it's at that point, it's really hard for me to be open and feel good in that relationship. And I know that when my bosses have shouted at me, that it's not personal. Well, maybe it is personal. I mean, if it's being done at me, and I suppose when I'm saying it's not personal, it's because they do it to other people. And I know I've talked about this before, but this is where I'm trying to process it as I reflect with you, is that they've got a lot of pressure. They've got a lot of responsibilities. But is there another way? And then do they shout at everyone? If I had better boundaries and more self-esteem, then maybe they wouldn't shout at me in the first place if they knew that I wouldn't take it, that I'd walk away. And it just so happens that this is the situation. This is the way it's showing up. I could tell you 10 other times in my life, in jobs or in relationships, where I've been in a similar situation. And I know I'm not alone in this. Like The Devil Wears Prada is a classic example of working for someone who is brutally tough. And I think when someone is brutally tough, it can be because they have really high standards. And I see myself justifying right now. I'm justifying someone else's unacceptable behavior. So I just wanted to share a couple of the things then that happen in that space in between. And as you hold the mirror up for me, my hope is that a memory, a situation comes to mind for you that will set you free in some way. Because I want to be set free right now. So after I was acutely aware of the pain body, calmed down, had a little something to eat, and I thought, okay, Joanna, get back to it. Take the actions, start to do the outreach to book some people on shows for my bosses. And I did do that. And I was meant to have a call with a TV producer today. It was scheduled. It was for a national TV show. And they didn't show up for the call, even though we had a scheduled call. Then in my head, I went, okay, maybe I'm not meant to do this. After I put into the spreadsheet who I'd reached out to, I was so close to sending a text and saying, I need to talk. And that's when the image came in my head and I got scared and I thought, oh, they're gonna shout at me, or as I look now, I see a small child. Well, I just say a child. I see myself as a child in the mirror. And so that's the part of myself that when I get triggered, when I'm not treated respectfully, when my pain body gets activated in my job, the child, that young version of me shows up and she's scared and she goes quiet and then she gets petulant and she sulks. And like I talked about, my dog Julius digging his heels in, that's what I begin to do instead of wanting to run through the grass on the heath with the wind going through my hair and the sunlight on my face. I want to dig my paws in and not budge. That is how I feel right now. I don't want to be on a leash. I think that there's advantages to being the dog on the leash because I get fed, I get looked after. But if I want to be free, it makes me think of the book, one of my favorite books, Call for the Wild by Jack London. And the dog, his name is Buck, and he was totally domesticated and taken care of in his life. And then he gets kidnapped and he gets taken out of what seemed to be that good life where he didn't have to worry about anything. And suddenly he's being made to work. He's in a situation where he has owners who are like bosses that were 100, 1,000 times more tough than what I deal with my bosses. And then he connected, as he went through his trials and tribulations, to his soul. And he started to attune to nature and the elements and the sun and the moon. And Buck had to learn to fight for himself. He got lean and strong. He learned how to be resourceful. He protected. He led. He was encouraging. He was part of a community. And so I relate to Buck. I totally relate to his journey. And to feel freedom, to feel strong, to get fit, to feel the richness of life. I know for myself, I need to leave that comfort. And the decision for me to move beyond that comfort, it's not for everyone. For someone else, that workplace, the workplace where I am, that did feel like a cozy dog's bed that has become a tiger's cage for me, is a wonderful environment for other people who work there. It's just not a fit for me. My path is different. Your path is different. I'm going to keep praying to have the courage to take action because I feel, I'll save my thought for next time. I'm Joanna Garzili. Thank you so much for reflecting with me. Thank you for telling your friends and loved ones about Looking Glass podcast and following the show. You can also learn more about working privately with me and booking a Looking Glass reading or reflection session at looking-glass.me.